All right, okay. So we're doing this.
We're doing it.
All right, hi guys, and welcome to the second episode of Red Shirts Die First. This is your weekly chronological look at the Next Generation episodes, and today we're doing episode number 3, The Naked Now.
Isn't it episode number? Isn't it episode number 2? Oh,
it's not a mistake, no, because it's a double part, wasn't it? The encounter.
Oh,
so it's actually technically this is episode number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the Naked Now. This was first aired on the 5th of October 1987. Written by John D.F. Black, Mr. Black,
Mr. Black,
and J. Michael Bingham. And this was based on a unfinished teleplay by Gene Roddenberry, following up from an original series episode called The Naked Time. Now, I'll be honest, I've not seen this original series episode. Have you?
No, I didn't actually know about this link to the original series, man.
No.
I was unaware.
So if it's as good as the original episode, it'd be a treat, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
All right. Well, I'm your host, Andy, and with me is my co-host Tom. Say hello.
Hello.
He's currently dying of lack of sleep at the moment.
Yes, yeah. I'm just vibrating on pure coffee right now to get myself through this. So this could go one of two ways.
I hope that's some Earl Grey you're drinking there. Oh, coffee, no. Okay. So we're going to do a bit of a recap, and then we're going to throw out a bit of trivia for you for this episode, and then we're just going to talk about what we think. So this is a bit of an infamous episode.
It is.
So this is the one-liner synopsis. I've stolen this off Memory Alpha. This is the crew of the Enterprise are subjected to an exotic illness that drives them to unusual manic behaviour. So the show starts with the captain's log, and we're on the bridge. They're rendezvousing with a science vessel. What's the name of it, Tom?
It's the SS Tsiolkovsky, is it not?
Tsiolkovsky. And they're routinely monitoring the collapse of a star, and there's a bit of a party time going on.
It is, totally. They get some strange messages from the SS Tsiolkovsky. It sounds like everyone is pretty lit over there. There's some glasses jingling, some kind of orgy-like groaning. It's, yeah.
Sounds like the place to be, doesn't it?
It really does, man. But before anybody can put on their party pants, something goes drastically wrong.
It does. And so the transmission suddenly goes dead, and Data exclaims, "What we've just heard is impossible." Okay. So obviously it's not impossible, because it's just happened.
It has.
But
he exclaims something about the hatch door being blown on the other ship. Someone's basically just opened the emergency hatch, which, you know, is surely going to have sucked out the entire crew.
It's probably not the thing to be doing in deep space, is it?
But is it sucked or blown? I think Data's going to clear that up at some point.
Oh, yeah. Picard sends a team over to the ship. So you get Data, Riker, Yar, and LaForge. And LaForge finds a room full of frozen people.
Yeah, you said something akin to covered in, what is it, that fake frosting that you can spray on Christmas trees?
It is. I love it. It's the same effect they use in Encounter at Farpoint.
Yeah, whenever Q freezes somebody. Is it Lieutenant Torres?
Yeah, it's the same fake snow stuff. So I reckon someone bought too much of it, like one Christmas.
Yeah, totally. Like, shit,
we're
just
get
rid of these cans.
How do we get rid of it? We just spray the entire room and all the extras with like this stuff. And LaForge kind of really mutely says, "Oh, something in here," as he walks into a room full of like frozen corpses.
He does. I noted the great frozen corpse acting on the fridge lady. Sorry, the shower.
Oh, the fridge lady.
Yeah, she's in the shower, surely.
Is she in the shower? Okay.
Yeah, she's clogging up the shower door.
She pops out of there.
Yeah, totally. Great frozen corpse acting.
It is. Do you think that's a real? That's not an extra, is it?
What, you think that's a dummy?
That's got to be a dummy.
I don't know, man. That's a good question. Right in if you can tell us, dummy or real person playing that corpse.
Riker confirms that all 80 people are dead, and then we cue the opening credits.
Yes.
After the credits, we've got Picard talking about downloading the data from the ship, and we cut over to the sick bay, and Beverly Crusher is examining the away team. I got a couple of weird things with this because LaForge appears to have something wrong with him.
Yeah, he kind of snaps at Crusher.
He does. There's no quarantine going on at this point. She's just basically, oh yeah, LaForge is kind of ill. Well, we'll keep him here, and everyone else can just go away.
Yeah, she's just kind of running that magic pen around that she kind of does.
Oh yeah, the medical tricorder.
Yeah, that's it. The medical tricorder. Yeah, it is totally. It's invaluable.
So so LaForge is confined to sickbay, and then we cut over to the bridge, and you got Riker and Data kind of trying to do a bit of digging to find out what's going on.
All I have is a vague memory of reading somewhere about someone taking a shower in his or her clothing.
Enterprise history, aberrant behavior, medical cross-reference.
Captain, I believe we have the answer to what happened over there.
Yeah, I think these two are actually, right from the first episode, there's actually some quite good chemistry between Riker and Data.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry. Was it Riker's interested in finding? He asked Data to look up something about people showering in their clothes. Is that it?
Yeah.
Because of the lady that LaForge found in the shower, who'd apparently taken a shower in her clothing mid-orgy.
See, I think this is where our lack of knowledge of the original series is probably going to bite us, because I reckon this was probably in that first episode, in that original series episode.
Yeah, they do kind of. There is a reference to it at some point, is there not?
Yeah, there's got to be. So back over to sickbay, and LaForge has decided to go for a bit of a wander.
Yeah, he does. He just kind of drops his badge and just kind of goes on a walk.
Yeah, so Crush is not even like, she's got no security there. She's just,
No, she's not monitoring that shit at all. He's
not
just
monitoring
like,
at all.
Well, see ya.
See ya. And she kind of limply shouts, "Geordie!" and then calls the bridge. But there's no conviction there. And Picard orders a shipwide search.
He does. Is this the point where Yar's deployed to find him?
Well, the Forge kind of finds... Oh no, the Forge heads straight to Wesley.
He does, that's right. This is where Wes is cocking about with his homemade tractor beam.
I don't know, Wesley's a bit of a... He's kind of an annoying character, isn't he? This is like one of those... It's like a 12-year-old kid and he's like mastered, like, advanced astrophysics or whatever the fuck.
I guess so, yeah. He is like this kind of wunderkind MacGuffin character that they just use whenever they need to get out of a massive plot hole.
The MacGuffin character.
Is this the point where Wes gets infected? Is it Geordie that infects Wes here?
It is, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a little touch on Wesley's neck. So Geordie just reaches out, and touches him, and every time the virus gets passed on, it is a bit inappropriate. But I didn't notice this the first time watching this episode. It wasn't until the second time through. There's a little sound effect that plays every time.
Yeah, it's like a yeah, that's it, man.
It's like an odd hush.
It is like an odd, yeah. Let's have an odd hush, please, for Mr. Burns.
But then Geordie's getting around a bit, so he's been to see Wesley, and then we cut to Geordie and Yar in the observation lounge.
Geordie! Lieutenant Yar in the observation lounge. Send a team here now. Medical's been worried about you.
Help me. Help me to not give in to the wild things coming into my mind.
Geordie, my job is security.
Tasha, please.
All right, helping is more important. Geordie, how can I help you?
Help me to see like you do.
But you already see better than I can.
I see more. But more isn't better.
Geordie, please put these...
I want to see in shallow, dim, beautiful, human ways.
And Geordie's having a bit of an emotional moment.
He does, yeah. He's basically talking about how he wants to be able to see the same way that Yar can see.
To be able to see like she can, like vibrant colours.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I guess, I mean, I figured that was what he was talking about, but I couldn't really, I don't know, I figured he was maybe just tripping.
Yeah. But you actually see him without the visor, which is pretty cool. He's got the like the whites of his eyes.
Yeah, the cool contacts.
But I reckon this was just part of the plot, so that he could reach out and touch Tasha.
Yeah, because there's that whooshing sound again.
Whoosh. So we have a third victim.
We do.
And what happens next?
He's marched back off to sickbay. He goes peacefully,
yep.
But yeah, this is the point where Tasha is infected, although we don't actually quite know it yet.
Yeah, Yar suddenly Picard. That's right. Picard and Tasha have a quick chat about it all, and Yar kind of makes a sort of sweaty motion, showing us that she's infected now.
Yes, that's right. Even though there's no trace of this so-called disease actually on board, there's obviously something infecting the crew. Now we've got another classic moment with Captain Obvious here, where LaForge is lying on the table and Troy senses confusion.
Yes.
It's like, no shit, a Sherlock.
Wow, yeah. And he might be intoxicated.
Yes, that's it. He's acting intoxicated. It's like...
Yeah.
slow golf clap. But
does Troy ever get useful in the entire series? I'm sure she must do at some point.
Yeah, we're gonna discover at least one episode where she becomes useful at some point.
Okay.
I think this is the point where Captain Kirk is name dropped by Picard, because they mention a similar incident on Kirk's Enterprise.
Yeah, that's right. So it's back on the bridge, isn't it? And
Yes.
Data and Riker are still doing their investigations.
Yes.
And Riker says, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. To which...
Yeah, it's another cute moment with Data,
It
not
is,
understanding kind of human proverbs and metaphors and such.
You've got to wonder how he's got so far in Starfleet, like, without knowing a lot of these, like, key phrases.
Yeah, it does make you wonder, man. I mean, I guess we just have to kind of suspend our disbelief for those moments for the purposes of
course.
A poor joke.
So you're right. They do come up with a mention to Kirk.
This
an event 80 years ago.
That's it. Yeah, I think this is. Yeah. Sorry, man. Carry on.
Where am I?
Derailed that fucking train, didn't I? They discover the reason for the previous incident on Kirk's Enterprise was caused by water molecules acquired. I'm sorry, what was this again? It was a complex string of water molecules caused by the huge gravitational shifts, thus the dwarf star, which acquires carbon from the body and acts like alcohol on the brain, which is causing people to act strangely. Is this correct?
I've got to be honest. I think you've got the gist of it, but it makes like no sense. Because
No.
This would imply like every time they go near like a big star with like loads of gravity, everyone's going to have this effect.
Everyone's getting fucked up.
So, but apparently it hasn't happened for 80 years.
Yeah.
No idea.
No one's flown near one for 80 years.
But I love this. It's a great line from Picard when he's talking about Tasha Yar, that he says that she's got the equivalent of a snootful. And Data is very confused by this term.
He does not understand a snootful.
I didn't understand the snootful.
No, nor did I. I didn't even pretend to understand what it meant.
So there you go then. We cut back over to Wesley and his mummy.
Mummy?
Mother dearest. And he's showing off again. So he's got his tractor beam and he's done stuff with it. And then he complains about the heat. So yeah, he's infected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cut to Tasha Yar wandering around the halls of the Enterprise, drunk, and everyone else looking drunk.
Yeah, is this where she totally necks on with some random?
It is. It's a blue shirt wandering around with a snootful. We've learned a phrase here.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. Gotcha. And yeah, she just randomly, he looks like he's up for it, but it's a bit kind of bold.
It is very bold. So the information they come up with is sent to Dr. Crusher, and I think she begins to work on a serum.
Yeah. So actually, just before that, we've got down in engineering, the chief engineer is called to the bridge. Now, season 1's a bit weird, isn't it? Because it doesn't really have, like, a chief engineer at this point.
No.
Or, I mean, there is one, but it changes every time.
It does, yeah. Yeah, there's no consistent chief engineer.
So what's the name of this one? It's a woman, isn't it?
Oh, God. I was hoping you'd have this written down. I was going to.
I think it's like McDouglas, is it? Or
possibly.
Or McDougal?
McDougal?
McDougal, it could be McDougal.
It could be McDougal, potentially. Or we could just be pulling this out of our ass.
I remember thinking, oh, they've gone for like a Scottish kind of sounding surname. Is that like a bit of a Scotty kind of? I don't know.
You missed out a scene where Troy finds Yar in her quarters, basically fucked up and just rummaging through her clothes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so she's just like barged into Troy's into her room.
She's just trying on all of her shit. It's really bizarre.
And doesn't Captain Obvious? That's right. Captain Obvious says that she feels very uncertain.
Yeah, that's where she buzzes in and basically says whatever it is, she's got it. She's got it.
She's got it.
She's got it. Yeah, baby, she's got it.
Yeah, that was a little bit while ago. Okay.
But, yeah, I think it's, you're all right. I think it's just around the time that Wes uses his magic voice box that he was showing to Geordie earlier on. He's basically sampled Picard and Riker's voice, maybe, but possibly just Picard's voice, and calls the chief engineer and assistant chief engineer off to separate places, I think to the bridge and to the med room, respectively.
That's right, and he takes over engineering.
He basically takes over engineering and seals the door shut with his reverse tractor beam that he's been dicking around with.
I mean, basically, there's nothing that Wesley can't do.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Like I said, man.
Genius.
Wunderkind MacGuffin genius.
Hell yeah. I do actually love this moment on the bridge though, because like,
This is my line of the episode. Acting Captain!
Attention, all decks, all divisions. Effective immediately, I have handed over control of this vessel to Acting Captain Wesley Crusher.
Acting Captain?
Thank you, Captain Picard. Thank you. And with that order dawns a brave new day for the Enterprise.
acting Captain Picard exclaims it. I thought this was actually quite. There's not a lot to hold on to with this episode in terms of like genuine pleasure. But
No.
I thought this was
That is one
this
of
was
them.
quite funny.
That is one of those rare moments. I think is this where Wes lets in the assistant chief engineer back into the engine room after he's kind of fucked up.
He does, and I've got words to say about that assistant engineer later on.
Oh, okay, we'll save it. We'll save
We'll
it.
save it. We'll save it.
I know I said acting captain was my line of the show, but I think I lied. My line of the show might be Data's dick limerick.
Yeah, this was good. I like this. Do you want to repeat the limerick there, Tom?
I'll cut it in right about here.
There was a young lady from Venus whose body was shaped like a...
Captain to security, come in!
At this point, Yar is down to fuck, and Data is sent off to escort her off to sickbay.
Yes.
This is the
cue the sexy times.
It is sexy time.
What do you think about this scene?
Well, essentially, she's kind of having sex with like a supercomputer.
A dildo?
Yeah, like a super dildo.
Super dildo. Yeah.
A highly intelligent, sentient dildo, capable
Fully
of,
functional.
with access to Google, essentially.
Yeah.
But he's not messing around, man, and I absolutely love Brent Spiner's facial expressions in this scene.
It's really funny, isn't it? Because the way Data acts, it's like he's not supposed to have emotions, and yet he's doing a really convincing impression of being, a bit nervous, a bit kind of,
Nervous and or horny.
and or horny.
But
Yeah.
he is infected as well, is he not? He does explain later on.
Don't even go there just yet, because Data being infected with this thing just
Rant coming.
yeah. What do you think about Tasha's little curl on her forehead?
Is it doing it for me? Yeah, I thought she looked good. I don't know where she got that outfit from. Did she steal that from Troy?
I reckon so.
Yeah, she must have ganked that from Troy when Troy was off.
Yeah, just pop back in, grab that.
But the isolinear optical chips are being used as bric-a-bracs at this point.
Yes. See, I was thinking more Jenga.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's what he's doing.
So Tom and myself, we go way back with the Jenga
We do.
from many years ago. There's a lot of evenings spent.
Pro competition level Jenga.
Very much so. and this was like amateur standard. We could have built a tower like way higher than that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's completely.
Those isolinear chip things.
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of look like
Like-
SD cards, right?
Yeah, like little glass SD cards.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, why would you design your ship to have all these little, like, discrete little chip things?
That can just be kind of yanked out by
Yeah,
accident.
exactly.
You know,
And they put in, like, random order and you completely break the ship.
someone could spill their coffee on those things.
Yeah, wasn't too sure. But, that assistant chief engineer, basically every time from this point on that you cut to him, he's playing with those chips. It's just like, they cut to him like 5 or 6 times throughout the rest of the episode, and he's just like playing with the chips.
He's just pulling the derpiest face, man. I absolutely love it.
It's like he's regressed to like being a 3-year-old.
It's so good. But Troy shows signs of infection at this point, though, does she not?
She does. So yeah, Troy wanders into engineering, and she kind of comes on to Riker.
Yeah, she's thirsty.
She said,
thirsty.
yeah,
for
she's
Riker.
well thirsty, yeah. And she
Yeah.
says something about, would you rather not I was in your mind, or something like that.
Yeah, she does say something about, wouldn't you rather be alone with me in your mind, or something?
Yeah.
Has she got some freaky Demolition Man style sex plan, do you think?
Oh, it could be.
You know?
Maybe. They didn't know what the little seashells are for.
Sylvester Stallone did explain in an interview what those 3 seashells are for.
Really?
I'm not going to repeat it. Look it up and try not to be eating lunch when you do.
Okay. that's probably a good thing. So anyway, Riker does dump Troy over into sickbay, and Crusher is trying to work on a cure, and I think Riker passes on the virus to Crusher.
He does. He brings Troy down to sickbay, yeah, and obviously in touching Troy, he contracts it, and then there's kind of like a little brush on Crusher's shoulder, and she's infected too, but she realises she's only got kind of like a limited window of time to get this cure figured out before she goes full lit.
Well, you say that because, okay, we'll probably do this in the bit at the end, but she blurts out to Riker, "Wait, I've got to quarantine you." It's like, well, it's a bit late now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like half the ship's infected. There's no one in sickbay. You know, everyone's showing signs of whatever this thing is.
Oh man, it's like Caligula down on the lower decks at this point.
Yeah, surely.
More conviction!
I love that reference. So we cut back down to engineering, and we've got a shot again of the assistant engineer having a blast playing with the Icelandic chips. So they just throw this motif in like all the time now.
Can we please put this guy in the channel art for this episode?
Yeah, we've got. I think that is the channel art for this episode.
He's got to be the star of the show.
And what do we get? We have Picard contacts Wesley down in engineering and tries to convince Wesley to pass him back control of the ship.
I love this part.
Captain's log supplemental. It is no longer an inconvenient, childish prank. Young Wesley Crusher, admittedly a victim of the Tsiolkovsky infection, is now in control of my starship. Wesley, this is Captain Picard. Do you see me?
Yes, sir?
You will now return control of this vessel to the bridge where it belongs, at once.
I'm sorry, sir. Why don't you just tell me what you want done and I'll do it?
Because ship captains control their own vessels, young man.
But, sir, you don't do it yourself. You give the orders, but somebody else does it. What's wrong with giving me the orders to do it?
Captain, getting unusual readings now from the dwarf star.
Stand by on that for a moment. Wesley. Wes, are you aware that you are behaving strangely? That a kind of infection was brought over from the Tsiolkovsky, which acts like intoxication.
Are you saying that's why I feel so hot? So strange?
That's a very adult bit of reasoning, Wesley.
So you mean I'm drunk? I feel strange, but also good.
Because you have lost the capacity for self-judgment. Now, alcohol does this, Wesley. But the contaminant we brought back from the Tsiolkovsky does it even more so.
What would you do if you got your ship back?
Oh, it's very important I do, Wesley.
Go on. What do you think?
Well, just Picard's back and forth with Wesley. He's basically trying to get control of the ship, but Wes just completely ignores him. He asks him something like, "What would you do if you had control of your ship back?" And Picard sort of says like, "Well, because I want control of my ship back, you little bastard. And if I had control, I'd use the tractor beam to grab the SS Tsiolkovsky." And before he could even finish his sentence, Wes is just like, "Tractor beams are my thing. I'm on it." Or whatever
My
the line is.
speciality, Skipper.
That's it. Yeah, aye, Skip. I'll cut the line in somewhere here, but it is great.
Tractor beams are my specialty, Skipper. I'll contact you when that's done. Wesley out.
Yeah, and then I noticed there's like a random red shirt just sat at the con position. He just gets up and wanders off.
Yeah, the con red shirt leaves with the sickness too, so we know it's kind of spread up to the bridge at this point.
Okay, so basically the bridge at this point is Picard and Worf, and there's no one else on the bridge. So we cut back again to engineering, and we've now got Isolini Jenga. We actually do have a bit of a tower of Isolini.
Your fascination with
I'm fascinated. I just couldn't help. Once I noticed it the first time, I was like, every time this scene came up, I couldn't help but make a note of it.
It tickled me in just the right places, man.
It did. It really did. It just made me think of older times.
Yeah, absolutely. It did bring back some great Jenga memories. But we get an indication that this dwarf star is going to explode soon. Wes locks the beam onto the SS Silkovsky and does manage to get a lock with the tractor beam. Crusher starts getting way sicker while she's looking for a cure for this thing.
Yeah, that's right. And there isn't really much peril up until this point. I mean, obviously they've got this virus thing, and they've kind of mentioned that this star might explode. But it isn't really until this part of the episode where actually...
No, the ticking clock doesn't really start until the third act. It just kind of meanders along for the most part.
That's right, that's a pretty good... So we end up with... is this the bit where we back onto the bridge? And we've got Data wandering in.
Yeah, I've just got a note that says Data has post-nut face.
Post-nut face.
And is infected. So talk about this infection, man.
Okay, well, why is Data infected? He's a machine.
Well, he does explain how he's infected. I'll cut the clip in here.
Data. Intoxication is a human condition. Your brain is different. It's not the same as...
We are more alike than unlike, my dear Captain. I have pores. Humans have pores. I have fingerprints. Humans have fingerprints. My chemical nutrients are like your blood. If you prick me, do I not leak?
I like the line where he says, if you prick me, do I not leak? I think he says.
Yeah, like hydraulic fluid.
Andy is not buying this bullshit.
I'm not buying it. I don't buy it. I'm sorry.
But we get a thirsty Crusher crashing the bridge, ready to fuck Picard's brains out, seemingly.
So she's all over the captain, and she sort of like asks him to come over into the captain's ready room, and she sort of unzips her top, and and suddenly Picard is infected as well, instantly.
That's it. We get the sound.
Yeah,
and but my favourite part in this scene is where he's going on about looking for something about the formula, and he does this kind of audible sort of gulp. I'll cut it in, but it's just kind of like it's my favourite part.
Doctor.
Captain, can I see it in your ready room? It's a private matter. No, actually, it's an urgent one.
I mean, there's a few awesome moments, isn't there, with Picard?
It's fantastic, but my God, does he end up with the blue balls? They both do.
The blue balls.
Not now, Doctor, please. But Picard is infected at this point.
I thought there was something quite charming about this scene, actually.
I loved it.
Because it's cheap. I mean, this whole episode is just like cheesy as fuck.
Yes.
But yeah, there are certain moments where it's kind of fun. And I thought this was a fun scene.
I'll save my rating for the end, but yeah, I absolutely agree with you, man.
Okay.
Is this when the planet explodes? The dwarf star actually explodes, or the surface explodes? Shortly,
just before that happens, there's a cheeky little wave on the bridge from Picard to Crusher.
It's so awkward. I love it.
It's really awkward, but I did actually LOL a little bit. So at this point, I mean, this virus, right? So Picard has been affected like immediately, and yet Riker, who was like maybe the third person to be infected, still is showing no signs of like problems.
No, he really doesn't show any problems until the 11th hour, and to be honest with you, he doesn't really act funny. He just kind of needs to sit the next couple plays out on a bench somewhere.
Yeah, it's like he's just headed straight for the hangover.
I just need to mop my brow.
Yeah. So now we do cut away to space, and the star explodes. So now we actually do have something that's a danger to the Enterprise. We've got this stellar material heading towards the ship, and I think we have a bit of music, a bit of a dramatic do-do-do.
Yeah, it's a huge smell the fart moment.
It is
mainstay of Next Generation.
But yeah, they particularly love doing this in the first season, don't they?
They do. But the ship is locked in place, and death is indeed imminent.
What we're seeing, sir, is a huge chunk of the star's surface blown away, heading for us.
So they try and get away from this stellar material, but they kind of know that they can't, but they're trying anyway. So yeah, we end up back down in engineering, and we've got the chief engineer, Which we're going to go for McDougal. I reckon it's McDougal.
We'll stay with McDougal, man.
I reckon it's McDougal.
Hopefully someone will correct us.
I'm pretty sure this is the only episode she's actually in, so it doesn't really matter if we get a name wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this character ever seen again at any point?
No, I'm pretty sure. Oh, possibly one more episode. I'm not 100%, but I think this might be her debut and swan song in the same.
Oh, McDougal, we hardly knew ye.
Yeah, exactly.
Hashtag where is McDougal?
Where is McDougal? Yeah, she goes over to the assistant chief, and she's kind of like a mum talking to a child.
Yeah, the scolding that she gives him, just like, what have you done?
These are control chips.
That's the line.
Yeah, you've got to get that in there. She basically. Go on.
No, she exclaims that when she calls up to Picard on the bridge, who's just kind of like in full blackout drunk mode at this point, and says that the control chips have been used to play a pretty shoddy game of Jenga at best, and there's 3 hours or so to replace those chips into their correct slots, at which point Wes exclaims that Data could probably do it in much less time.
So this is, again, this virus is kind of affecting people differently, because Riker is still, pretty much fully functioning.
Yeah, Riker's a man who can hold his drink, man.
Yeah, he's a trooper.
Absolutely.
Which is just as well, because he drags Data down to engineering, and Data's acting all sort of drunk and...
just kind of childlike at this point as well. Just like, duh, a game? Ooh.
Derpy Data.
Yeah, derpy Data. I love derpy Data.
Yeah, so we cut back and forth. We've got some more, basically it's just a cut back and forth throughout the rest of the episode now with Data chucking the chips back in.
Yeah, Riker screams at him to get fucking moving, but Wes suggests, make it like a game.
Make it a game, yeah.
It just made me think of that moment in The Simpsons where he's like, Skinner gives Bart all the envelopes. You can see how many you could lick in an hour, and then try to
beat that record.
Well, get cracking.
So I did notice there's a lovely little thing I made a note of, which is the cut back to sick bay, and Picard does a little hop into Crusher's office.
Yes!
Did you spot
my
this?
God, yeah, I did see this. Oh man, it doesn't really work in audio, but yeah, just a little skip step he does into the office.
Yeah.
He rolls up to the desk and says something like Beverly.
It's like a perky Picard, isn't it?
Oh, totally. Yeah, they have this super thirsty hop back and forth.
Yeah. So Picard is basically useless now. So he's under full influence of this virus, and he's kind of just sort of standing around on the bridge and wiping his brow a lot and not really knowing what to do. Or is he down in? No, he's down in sick bay, isn't he? That's right.
He's down in sick bay with Beverly. The collision with the debris from the surface is kind of, I think they've got about 8 or 9 minutes left at this point, and somehow she's kind of come up with the cure, but just kind of forgot midway through flirtation conversation with Picard, and then just kind of remembers, oh yeah, let's go test this on Geordi.
That's kind of genius, wasn't it? So she's kind of half drunk and making drugs. So
yeah,
awesome.
totally. Yeah, totally, man. It's what was I doing again? Oh yeah, let's go.
So yeah, at this point we've got Data still chucking the chips in. Riker's now kind of succumbed to the virus finally and is looking hungover. But the cure works. Back in sickbay, LaForge, gets up and is looking fine.
It does work, and then she starts stabbing people with that thing like Jack the fucking Ripper.
Yeah, well, Picard goes around injecting him with the cure, just randomly, not even asking, just a tap on the shoulder.
Jesus, he's fucking stabbing people up like a Russian double agent with that thing.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, yeah.
But it does indeed work.
It does, and Data gets some of the secret serum as well, and it cures him, which again is just mind blowing that he's a machine. He shouldn't get a virus, and then medication, just don't even. I mean, this is where you're able to suspend your disbelief, and I'm just
not
this
buying
doesn't
it.
Work. I just can't buy it.
Sure hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
Yeah, but there's the final bit of peril, which is that they don't have quite enough time.
Yeah, they need 1 minute more. Exactly 1 minute more. Wes comes up with the brilliant idea to and this is where the bullshit hits the fan, man.
Go on.
Well, when Wes just kind of comes up with this brilliant idea to reverse his tractor beam, so it kind of repels the SS Sokovsky towards the debris.
Yeah, something like that, isn't it?
And the chief engineer exclaims that it would take weeks to reroute the circuits. He says, "Why don't you just see it with your mind?" And he just has this total Rain Man moment and just starts dabbing on buttons. I don't know, man. What did you make of this bullshit?
Well, my opinion of Wesley is that he's way too overpowered, you know? This was like an RPG. He's like... He's just overpowered.
If this were a Japanese RPG, he would be the final boss, and he would also be God.
But yeah, I don't know how he just saves the day, and I think this is why he's like universally disliked, because he just saves the day just too many times.
You think it's just part of the whole kid power bullshit thing to bring in sort of younger viewers, or
possibly? Yeah, I think Roddenberry kind of had a thing for Wesley, didn't he? Like wanting to have the youth kind of represented, and I don't know.
I guess so. I mean, it makes sense, but maybe using him as like the ultimate genius to save the day every time wasn't maybe the best plot play.
See how I reversed the fields on this, Commander? I made it into a repulsor beam.
You just have 1 minute more, sir.
If this were 100 times more powerful than it is, why not try it with the real thing? Why not reverse fields on this, ma'am? If we just need an extra minute.
It would take weeks of laying out new circuits.
Well, why not just see it in your head? Come off the main lead, split off at the force activator, then I can just think straight about this.
Yeah, but anyway, they do finish. Data finishes the isolinear puzzle, and they drop out of there with seconds to spare.
That's it.
And that's basically it. But we do have one final little moment. I'll let you do this one. The little chat between Yar and Data.
Oh, is this where Yar freezes Data and says it didn't fucking happen?
Never happened.
Right after the boning. Data looks kind of crushed.
He does. He looks hurt. I felt a bit sorry for Data.
Can he feel hurt at this point though without his emotion chip? I mean, he just got fucked and chucked essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it? I can't remember. Is it awkward between them now for the rest of the series?
I can't remember. In my mind it is, but that might just be some weird Mandela effect thing going on. In my mind it's kind of awkward between them, or at least there's like a couple of little sort of mentions of it in the next few episodes.
That's right. Okay, so that's basically the Naked Now.
Oh, you're forgetting Wesley being commended.
Oh, he is. You're right. He is commended. He's mentioned in the captain's log.
He is. I mean, whatever. That is the Naked Now.
Did I say something wrong?
I don't understand their humor either.
Right, I'll pass it over to my co-host Tom for his expert opinion.
I'm gonna be honest. I do kind of like this episode a little bit. It is stupid. It makes no sense to have something like this as like the second episode of your show, where nothing's really been established yet. None of your characters have ever really kind of been established at this point. No one really sort of knows who they are, and second episode in, you've got everyone sort of acting out and sort of being strange, and it's just kind of jarring. It doesn't really fit in with like the kind of episodes after for this season. I think if it had maybe come in later on, it maybe would have worked a little better, but I'm not too sure, man. I do enjoy it. I think it's got some really funny, like genuinely funny moments in it, but it's definitely kind of D+, C- turf.
D+, yeah. So I mean, I'm basically with you on this. The biggest problem really is it's the second episode, and we have no idea who these characters are. We haven't got to know them. We encounter at Farpoint. It's only 90 minutes of a show. We don't know, really. And we've got Picard acting kind of crazy. And apparently, this is a bit of trivia I've got here.
Okay.
This episode was used for Gates McFadden's audition. So they actually, when Crusher was auditioning, or Gates McFadden for the Crusher character, this was the script they gave her, and she just assumed that her character was going to be like the comic relief based on the events of this script.
Well, you can understand why.
Yeah, but it just kind of highlights just how bad this kind of episode was in terms of, it's not the characters that are going to be in the rest of the show. It's them acting totally out of place. I did also think Worf and LaForge are basically they're just not used, are they?
Yeah, they're
Worf
useless.
especially.
Yeah, Worf is kind of useless in this episode, bar a couple of lines to basically state the obvious, like you said, what you can already see on screen in this episode most of the time.
I think there are some funny moments. I think they all basically involve Picard. But there's a lot of stuff which is trying to be funny, but actually it's just a bit forced.
Yeah, there is some prime Patrick Stewart face in this though.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart face, yeah, definitely.
We need to keep account.
The problem is we can't rely on Patrick Stewart acting to save these episodes, because it's going to be good for even the worst episodes. Shakespearean actor, he's too good.
I know.
I think my rating. So what rating did you go for?
I'm gonna go with I'll be kind. I'll go with a C-.
C-. So you're much higher than me. I've actually gone for an E.
Oh wow!
I've gone super low. Just because I really, I'd completely forgotten this episode. I'd watched this episode in years. Watching it through the first time last night, first time in years, I just thought this was poor. And then having to sit through it again for a second viewing and do the show notes. Oh, I just wanted to. Oh, I just didn't. I couldn't do it. Yeah. I do have some random trivia. They're gone.
I was about to say, I think I go back for this episode just because of. I mean, obviously it's the second episode. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to have the characters behave this way. But as you said, there are some genuinely funny moments. There's some great scenes with Riker and Data, and it's that prime Patrick Stewart face. And also Brent Spiner as well. Brent Spiner is great in this episode. The wacky fall down on the bridge was kind of a little bit too much, but
yeah.
I still kind of like it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm sorry. I'm broken inside.
You're a little bit broken inside. It's good though. It's good. So what's going to be? So you've gone C+. I've gone E. So what's that? Like a sort of D?
I said C-.
C-. That's like a D+.
I'd say D-.
D-. Yeah.
I can agree on a D-. Now you've kind of put it out there. Once you say it back to yourself, it is really fucking stupid.
Yeah, because there's just not really a whole lot happening either in this show. The one sentence summary: the crew of the Enterprise is subjected to an exotic illness that drives them to an unusual manic behaviour. I mean, that's
it sort of meanders for the midpoint, for around 20 minutes or so, and then in the end it just kind of crams in let's just do this, and yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wes saves the day again. Hit me with the trivia.
Well, I don't have a huge amount, but according to Will Wheaton, so I pulled this off Memory Alpha.
Okay.
Jonathan Frakes sharply criticised this episode, going so far as to call it the worst segment of The Next Generation he ever did, saying he felt totally ashamed by it.
Wow.
Riker wasn't a fan.
Salt from Jonathan Frakes.
Which I think, we've got as an episode in season 2 coming up, which is Shades of Grey, and I mean this is better than that episode. So. And I think it's probably better than the next episode we've got coming up as well.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, don't. I did pull out this one, another one from Memory Alpha. It's just who's noticing this stuff? So there's a shelf, allegedly. I did try and check this.
An alleged shelf.
Alleged shelf in Deanna Troy's quarters that was previously used as one of the Bandy shop decorations in Encounter at Farpoint. There you go. They're reusing props.
Okay.
This early into the show, and they're already reusing props.
Wow. Yeah, so between reusing props and the fake Christmas snow, what was the budget for these episodes at this point, man? Do you
it's
have
like $1.5 million an episode.
Wow.
And that's like 1987 prices, so it was pretty high budget.
Man.
I don't know if I've really got any more to add to that. Do you?
What, to the episode in general?
Yeah.
It wasn't the best one, man. We have got some better ones coming in the future. Not necessarily the next episode by any means, but for what it is, yeah, I will go to bat and say that it's definitely not the worst episode in season 1. Not by a long shot.
No, it's not the worst. And I think, we said this in the previous. Yeah, I think we both said this, didn't we, in the previous show, that it's going to be really easy to criticise, these early episodes.
Yeah.
It's 1987, and they are kind of still finding their feet with what they're doing.
Yeah, I still think the set looks absolutely fantastic at this point. I love this kind of version of the Enterprise, and you get a feel for like the size of the crew and stuff as well when Yar's kind of sauntering around off her tits.
That's true.
So yeah, I do. There's a lot that I do like about this episode, but there's plenty that you can say is complete shit.
Yeah, I think maybe if it was like later on in the season, it might work a bit better.
The naked now.
The naked now. So next week, if you join us next week.
Join us next week. Coming up on Star
I'll let you do
Trek.
this one.
Oh what? Oh yeah.
It's Code of Honor's the next one.
Code of Honor. Yes, next week.
Code of Honor.
Wow. Any hints about Code of Honor?
Is this the one with the female society where all the men are slaves?
Oh,
I can't remember. I know this one is like it's infamous for being absolutely shockingly bad. I think we might struggle with this one.
That's all right, man.
We'll find out.
Let's find out.
Next time on Star Trek The Next Generation.
You must get the vaccine from the planet, Captain, immediately.
On a desperate life-saving mission, Lieutenant Yar falls prey to kidnappers.
Proton torpedoes ready, sir. Fire.
You shall have no vaccine and no Lieutenant Yar!
And the deadly trade-off begins.
I challenge you. A struggle to the death.
It's a fight for survival on Star Trek The Next Generation.
It was easier when we didn't have a name.
It was easier when we didn't have a name.
There's too much like pressure now.
I know. You have to say it.
Say it up.
More conviction.